Hey everyone, and welcome to Television for the Multiverse, the DC TV podcast from Fuzz TV. I am Peter, that is Connor, and we talk about DC TV shows, namely Supergirl, Flash, Legends of Tomorrow, and unfortunately Arrow, which we're all on this week, so we have an episode of all. Eventually that'll not happen though, I keep saying it, but eventually there'll be mixing and matching because they'll take weeks off here or there, because they always do it.
It's looking like it's post-crossover, but it's gonna happen.
Right, so after Christmas basically.
Yeah, and don't worry, we've got stuff planned for the Christmas break.
We do actually. We have a couple of little extra things we're going to start adding in at the start of December, and then we'll sort of keep them going whilst the other shows are off, so that there's still something going up every week, and there's still something to enjoy or talk about. So, but yeah, so we're going to talk about those shows. And before we get to the shows, though, unfortunately, we have to preface this with some outside of the show itself news that popped up. Actually, right after we did our TV news episode this week, it was after we'd finished doing that this news popped up. That Andrew Kreisberg, who is the executive producer on all the shows, and he writes mainly for Flash, I believe, at the moment, has been suspended by Warner Bros. And CW on sexual assault, or I should say sexual harassment allegations specifically.
Yeah.
19 accounts of it, 15 women and 4 men, which is a lot.
It's a significant amount, yeah.
It is. So, I mean...
Yeah, they're not really commenting at the minute. They're kind of going, yeah, he's suspended but under investigation, and, you know, until it goes any further, we haven't got any more details.
Yeah, they're keeping it all very kind of close to the chest right now.
Yeah.
Had this come out of nowhere, it'd be like, oh, right, okay, what's going on? But it's like, after everything else that's happened in the movie and TV industry in the last couple of weeks, and even outside of that, there's musicians being accused of things in the last couple of days. So the stuff's piling up. And, I don't know, it'd be nice to...
It was a case of, oh, another one. It feels like that every day, doesn't it?
Yeah, and if and some hurt more than others, depending on because if it's someone you've never heard of, it's like, oh, it's horrible that it's a thing. But when it's someone that you like and care about, now I wouldn't say I like and care about Andrew Kreisberg, but he's at least associated with something I do care about.
Yeah, I mean, he's the showrunner on Flash, so
yeah, and given this week's episode specifically, that is especially a strange thing to hear.
Yeah, it is.
And more on that when we get to Flash and talk about what the episode's about, but. Yeah, so it's just, I want to acknowledge it because I don't think we have anything deeply to say about it, but it's, as I said in the comics podcast when we were talking about someone from the DC editorial for the comic books who's been accused of many a thing, keeping quiet about it and not talking about it is why we're in kind of, I mean, not completely, but it's partly why we're in this situation in the first place, as to why everyone now has to go to the press and there has to be this sort of this mass exodus at one time because people have been quiet for so long. So
it's worth noting this one didn't go directly to the press. It wasn't someone revealed it in a story to a reporter. This was like filed officially through Warner Bros. And CW,
which I think is oddly a good sign, just in the sense that it means some people were feeling confident that they weren't going to get fired for accusing someone, because I think that's always been the fear from people who have these things to report, is that no, they're going to side with the boss and kick me away, is kind of the thing. So the fact that people are starting to feel maybe a bit more confident to actually do it is perhaps a good sign. That said, it's one case, and
it is. But I do wonder if the culture of all this happening in the last few weeks has gone to some of these people here, where they're going, okay, we don't need to go to the press. They're going to take this seriously now if we go to them.
Well, yeah, I think that's something, like, as soon as the Weinstein thing happened, I think people were saying, hopefully this will make people feel more confident about speaking up, and they don't have to feel as scared anymore.
And it clearly has.
To an extent. I imagine there's still, unfortunately, lots of people
I'm
who
sure
are
there are, but
terrified of speaking.
More of these come out in the last 3 weeks than the previous 5 years, probably.
Yeah, and I think with each one, some people who are maybe close to that line of coming forward, or maybe getting closer.
They're getting a bit closer still.
So it's almost selfish to say that I hope that no one I really care about turns out to be like this, because you don't want someone you care about to be sullied in your own eyes. That's not obviously the primary concern here, but just on a sort of personal level, that's kind of, you hope no one that you actually respect turns out to be a sleazeball or worse. So yeah, we had to start with a serious conversation this week. but alas, we will get on to the episodes at hand, and which is funny because I think these CW DC shows are actually typically quite good at being very liberal and progressive and pushing things forward that maybe other areas don't, and other shows maybe don't.
Definitely, and obviously we talk about how he's more closely related to the Flash than anything else. That's done a particularly great job with that sort of stuff lately.
I mean, this week, I mean, the title of this episode when we put it up is probably going to be #feminism, because the episode in question this week was all the ladies got together and had to deal with the threat. So the whole point of this week's episode was sort of, pro-women, and then you find out the showrunner is this sleazeball. So
I've got to be honest, it was weird watching the episode after knowing.
Yeah, because I watched it before, and then I found out after and went, oh, that's weird. But you didn't watch it till after, and you're like, oh, this is strange. But hey ho, TV shows and actual things of hope and niceness.
Yeah,
and
the show must go on.
Absolutely. So Supergirl first usually, and that is going to be season 3, episode 5. It's called Damage. So obviously spoilers for each episode as we're going through them. I'm not going to say that every time, but just because it's the first one, I'll mention. Obviously, there's timestamps in the description to jump ahead to each show should you wish to do that. So yeah, so we have an episode here in which Morgan Edge solidifies that he is the new Lex Luthor of this show. And by the way, much better than that idiot from season 1. What was his name? Max
Lord.
Max Lord, yeah. Much better than him.
Yeah.
No, and the funny thing is in the comics, I prefer Maxwell Lord because he's a bigger character. But in the show, Adrian Pasdar is Edge. Yeah, he's doing things for me.
Pasdar just, he owns the scene a bit more, doesn't he?
He does. He's an evil scumbag. Whenever someone goes to confront him, whether it be Lena or Supergirl, the way he just sleazes his way around the words, and
I think the difference is Maxwell Lord always did this really nice public persona, but he'd keep it up to everyone, and he'd just be evil on his own. Whereas Edge is just a dick to everyone, except when he's on camera. Yeah,
except when he's on camera, and even when he's talking to Supergirl, Lena, he won't admit that he's done anything, but he'll be dropping subtext like nuclear bombs.
Yeah, he's like, there's enough here so that that I've done this, and we both know that. But I'm not going to say anything just so you've got no actual evidence to quote me against.
Yeah, because at the end of the episode, when because he's used a scapegoat of this soldier who he made shoot the screen. So I actually really like that moment. He makes the soldier shoot the computer. He's like, "Hey, shoot the computer." And he's like, "Yeah, what did I do that for?" "Oh, so you'd have some gun residue on your hand," and then shoots him. I'm like, "Oh, that's dark."
Well, it was pretty good.
And then he's just, he's like, "Oh yeah, crazy guy, lone wolf. Shame, we could have brought him to justice." Gulp the whiskey, and it's just like he's so obvious, and it's brilliant. I love it. I love it. Yeah. Adrian Pasdar is great.
He is.
I'm glad he's on the show, and I loved him on Shield as well. But Shield, of course, he was a much more comical kind of. It was this weird ally to the heroes.
Yeah, at the later points he was. Yeah. He was a bit of an antagonist first, but he was still on their side. Yeah,
he was like the bureaucratic man.
Yeah, the over-the-top military guy, but he was still a good guy.
Intentions, yes, were in the right place, and whereas here he's just pure evil and slimy, and it's great. I love it. So this episode dealt with two primary things. It dealt with, of course, the main plot with Lena and Edge, and it's him that's doing it from the start of this. By the way, I want to say, as soon as this comes on the TV, I'm like, Edge is the one behind this. He's so clearly he's framing Lena, but basically he comes on TV. He's like, "Oh, I'm down at this children's hospital. All these children they all have lead poisoning because the bomb that Lena made to get rid of the Daxamites has poisoned your children. She's taking your children away from you."
As far as evil plans go, it's not bad.
It's not bad. And parents aren't too happy. Typically if you go after people's kids, they tend to be quite testy about it.
We're saying, he was really evil at the end there, with that guy. It's like, yeah, we kind of brushing over. He poisons a bunch of kids.
That was a separate point, though. That's a separate plot.
Yeah, but that's like way more into how evil he is.
Oh, sure. And Lena takes it hard because she's like, this could have been me. Like maybe something did go wrong with that bomb, and we set it off and whatnot. So I think it's interesting, and I like. I thought she was stupid to go out and give a press statement when I'm like, someone's going to try and kill her. Of course, someone's going to try and kill her. It's so obvious. My only real complaint about this sort of chunk of the plot is the angry dad who comes up to shout at her was a terrible actor, and it was kind of ruining the scene for me.
Yeah. Yeah. Do they just let anyone up to the offices as well?
Apparently do, because most businesses have, I mean, we just saw Mr. Robot, like key card systems and whatnot. Like every big
Or
business
even
has
if not
that.
a keycard system, just you
Security
can't
desk.
go onto that floor.
Yeah.
I'll escort you to where you have to go, or you book a meeting and go, okay, go to this floor. But this guy seemed like he just kind of walked in and went up.
That said, still better security than Star Labs.
Yep,
Still better than Star
it's
Labs.
not hard though, is it?
It's not hard. Anyone can walk
It's
in
still
there.
better security than Star Labs is kind of becoming the still a better love story than Twilight.
it's, it's the DC TV version of that.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So you have this plot, and then Kara, along with Samantha, who's also sort of obviously because she's working for not like Catco, she's working for L Corp now. But they're basically both the same company now because Lena owns both, but same difference. And they're investigating. I love it. So they go to a swimming pool. They're investigating and they're looking. Oh, well, this is the one thing they've all got in common. They've all been here, and they all. She's like, all right. So they go to the pool. So I'm going to take a water sample. And I'm like, with what? You're not come prepared for anything.
I know. I was thinking.
She pulls out this little thing and takes a sample and attaches it to her phone, and she calls Win, and he's like, see, you said I was stupid when I designed that little mobile sample kit, but I know, one day it came in handy, didn't it?
I love Win. After when they're doing the detective work to get to the pool, like one of the things they look at is the food truck,
Yeah.
and they're checking like bank statements. How many food trucks take card payments? Like that is baffling to me. I don't think I've ever seen one that's not just cash.
Hey, this is the DC universe, national cities in the future.
I mean, fine, but I mean, it just baffled me. I've never seen it.
I think it depends. Like, I mean, small shops have them, so it's not really that unfeasible that.
It's not. I've never known anywhere to have it.
That's fair. But yeah, so they find this and there's detective work. It's a very actually Supergirl light episode in terms of her being in costume and doing stuff. She's out there a little bit at the start. They stop like a little
Yeah, a
truck
little
thing,
bit at the start, a little bit at the end.
and then the end. Although the bit at the end is really good.
It is, yeah.
The entire action scene, because basically Lena is like she's a drunken fool. She's hiding out at Sam's place, and she brings up some good points. But I was like, yeah, would you be helping me so much if this was Ruby that was sick? And I'm like, that's a good question. Like, she would feel differently. She absolutely would.
Yep.
It's a good point. And she's getting drunk, and I'm like, yeah, you acting drunk's not helping your fake accent.
Oh, I tell you, I think this episode it was worse it's ever been. When she gave the press conference, I swear she slipped into Australian. I swear I heard Australian for at least a line.
If I could do an Australian accent, I'd do a little impression of it slipping in, but I can't.
No. But I would put money I heard that, and I was like, what is going on with this? Like, this is awful.
Oh, man.
She's still good, other than the accent.
The acting was fine. It was just the accent. Yeah. Although I will say this, she's went from wanting to bang Kara to wanting to bang Jimmy by the end of the episode, right?
Yeah, that what we're talking about Jimmy there. He says, "Oh, call me." My friends call me Jimmy. Didn't he have a whole thing in season 1? It's like, no, don't call me Jimmy. I'm James.
Yeah, well, I noticed that because no one ever calls him Jimmy in this show, and that's why I think it's notable when I think that's why it's saying to us that he likes her, because he says, "Oh, friends call me James, or Jimmy," and it's like because he's never let anyone else in this show call him Jimmy, so I think that's an inkling that he's into her as well.
It just seemed really weird because we always say Jimmy just because that's what we're used to.
Yeah,
but even though the show makes a point of always making it, has always been James, and it's like, when he introduces, he goes, "Oh, it's Jimmy Olsen." I was like, "This is weird."
Honestly, I'm surprised with how much chemistry they had in that scene, because I never really thought about them being a couple, and then in that moment hit, and I'm like, you know what, all this fighting they've been doing about who has power, and I'm like, it kind of fits. So I kind of get it. It's a little bit, a little bit Xander and Cordy.
Of course.
From the hit television show Buffy the Vampire Slayer. So yeah, so they do investigate and they find out, oh, this is Edge's company. Edge has done this. Edge has poisoned these kids, and he may be poisoning more. He's got a plane with full of stacks of this.
You say that they just go, "Oh, it's this company," and then they phone Lena, and she's like, "Oh, interesting. You heard of that company then?" No, of course not. You don't know it's Edge's, do you?
Which, by the way, as much as there's a lot of things in this episode that sort of bring Lena back out on the good side, she's maybe going to start a thing with James. Her going dark and going to kill Morgan Edge with a gun was like, oh, I can see the evil turn coming. I can see it in her eyes.
No. She's, Jimmy's going to be like, hey, I'm Guardian. I've been lying to you. She's going to go evil.
Oh, I can see it. I can see it. I did like actually that one point where she said, "My last name may as well be Bin Laden." I thought that was a nice little sort of connecting it to, because that's essentially what the Luthor name is in this world. Like, he's done so much awful things that
Yeah, exactly.
it's that harsh. So I kind of like that comparison. Yeah. So but she gets knocked out. The guard Morgan's got a guard that just sort of whacks on the back of the head. It's actually kind of comical at the moment, if I'm honest.
It is. Yeah.
And she's strapped to this plane that's flying by remote. It's going to the reservoir. Do you know what I love about this? It's such a comic book plot that they're going to poison the reservoir.
Yeah, it's such a it's Joker 101.
It is. It's the Joker. It's a classic Batman plot. But in this case, it's on a plane. So Supergirl, of course, flying off to save the day. And I really like this action sequence actually, because the plane, one of the engines explodes and the plane ends up splitting in half.
Do you know, even before that, I like that she's lifting it up from inside. You never see that.
Yeah,
you always see them underneath the plane. You never see them inside, which obviously it makes sense, but you just never see it.
It's funny because it's actually much less impressive to look at, but because I never see it, it did look quite cool. I was like, oh, that's an interesting idea.
Yeah,
I agree with that.
It's easier for them, but it's just interesting.
Then the plane splits in half, and she's actually holding on to both halves, one hand each. I'm like, oh, this is pretty cool. And she's like, I can't keep up both. I'm going to have to drop one half into the water, and Lena's in one half, all the chemicals on the other, and Lena heroically is like, no, drop me, like the chemicals, you can't poison everyone else, you need to save them. And she's like, yeah, but it's not over, climb, you dumb bitch, keep climbing, I can grab you.
I was thinking that, but before she was like, just get moving.
Yeah,
get on her back. It's fine.
But it made for a good scene because they're sort of descending, and she's holding on to both as high as she can, and Lena's climbing. It's a good action sequence. It looks good. It's just kind of a fun thing. I mean, my only nitpick of it, the whole thing really, is that we've seen Supergirl pick up things that are much bigger, and I don't know if I quite buy that she can't hold on to both of these halves.
I think my bigger criticism was, you say halves. One was clearly much bigger than the other.
Oh, sure, okay.
And the small one was the one that Lena was in. And so she drops that, and then suddenly everything's fine. It's like, oh, this is easy now. Like it was like, okay, was that really making that much of a difference? Like, because she doesn't use her other hand on the plane still. It's like, the other hand still just takes Lena.
Yeah.
So it's like,
fair nitpicks, but the scene's so exciting and looks cool overall that I'm.
Oh, I'll let it slide.
Yeah, they look good. It was a nice moment for Lena. And yeah, she got a bit of focus in this episode. I'd say Lena was arguably the main character in this one.
Yeah.
And she got some good stuff out of it. She got some good progression, and it all worked out. So, really fun action scene. Liked all the Edge poisoning the kids stuff, and like I say, I love like when Supergirl goes back to see Edge at the end because she knows what he's done. Very Superman Lex Luthor. Very like, I know what you've done. I'm going to put a stop to this. And he's like, oh, I've not done anything. It was just lone wolf.
Go for it. Try.
You can't prove a thing. And then he's like, oh, you don't have the balls to do what it's right. You capes, you can't do it. You just don't have what it takes. And it was kind of clicking to me what this stories this season might be for Supergirl. I think it's going to be her version of what's so funny about Truth, Justice, and the American Way, where he's going to keep pushing her to try and do something worse and worse, and she's going to have to find it. And I think it ties in nicely to where she was at the first episode as well, where she's feeling a bit darker. She could potentially go down a darker path, but she's going to ultimately pick the right way.
Okay, I get you.
Because she was looking.
Where, my question is, where does Rain fit into that?
That's a good question. I think Rain obviously is going to become the big superpowered villain she can actually fight. Because
how I've been saying for a few weeks, I feel like Rain is the equivalent of this show's Doomsday, like the way they're treating it.
Oh yeah, comparing it to Smallville, yes.
Yeah. And I'm just, do you think they'll actually do it like be her Doomsday, and do a killer sort of thing at the end of the season?
I don't know about kill. Maybe beat her up more than she's ever been beaten up before. I don't know about kill though. I don't know if they'll do the outright kill.
No, okay.
I wouldn't be that bothered if they did. But part of me thinks it's just going to be like when they put Barry in the Speed Force in the Flash. It
will be. It'll be. Oh, I regenerated over the summer.
Yeah, exactly. And she'll be back in the first episode next season. So that'd be whatever. But
yeah,
I like. I'm liking Sam a bit more as well as we go on with her. Her interacting with the others is making her a bit more of a character.
I'm enjoying her more as a character. I'm not enjoying the rain side of things, admittedly. I think that every time we get a little tease for that, I kind of groan, and I'm not feeling those.
Well, I liked this one because it was just a nice simple little thing of she didn't realise she got hit by a bullet, and she's like, shit, I'm bulletproof, crap. Because it's simple, it's work, it's effective. Whereas, when we had the whole, creepy woman with the black sort of around her eyes,
symbols,
all the symbols, like that was like kind of over the top and kind of like magical almost, and I was like, I'm not really feeling that. But at the very least, though, if they're making me like her as a character and they're making me care at least a little bit about Ruby, when she does go dark, it should have a bit of oomph to it, because
she's killing the kid.
Oh no! Surely the kid dying is what puts her in the dark side.
Could be.
I could see that being the case. So yeah, I thought that was handled well enough this episode. It was just a nice simple little thing at the end. Oh shit, there's a bullet hole. Although I have to confess that when she found the bullet hole, I went, when did she even get shot at? Am I forgetting a scene? So it actually flashed back to the scene in question. I'm like, oh yeah, when someone was shooting at Lena, obviously.
Yeah.
That was on me.
One of those rare times the flashback actually helped.
It did help me, because I was really sitting there going, when did she get shot at?
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, that big shoot sequence.
It'd been so long though. I was too like the plane stuff was like just evaporated from my memory.
I'm with you.
So but no. So yeah, pretty positive all around and all this stuff. To be honest, I was into this one. It got better as it went along as well, which I
definitely liked this side of the episode a lot.
Well, I guess that takes us on to the other side of the episode, which it sounds like Connor's going to be negative about. Although I actually want to give it some positive statements before
I have some positives as well. Don't worry.
Much like a lot of the Maggie Alex stuff, when it's not doing what we like plot-wise, at least the acting's of a pretty great standard that it kind of elevates it quite a bit, because the scenes have good emotion.
That's my biggest positive. Yep.
I have another big positive as well, though. I like that they actually skip over a lot of the stuff that I thought we were going to have to go through.
Oh.
Because we come into this episode and they've already had the initial breakup talk. It's already happened. It's happened between episodes, and they're already packing and they're moving and stuff. And I was like, oh, I'm actually kind of glad about that. I thought we were going to have to go through. I thought there was going to be an episode of Alex like working up the nerve to tell her. Like I thought we were going to have. I
mean, that's what that opening scene kind of is with them, though, isn't it? Because it's like she comes in, and she's like, no, I've got to do this, and Meg's like, no, you've got to say it. That's kind of the breakup scene.
Yeah, but they've already talked about it. They clearly already know where it's going by that point. They've already had more conversations.
I agree, but this is a double-edged sword. I agree that it's. I mean, yeah, okay, I don't have to sit through all that other stuff, but at the same time, like, again, much like this whole plot this season has just felt really rushed, because I'm like, okay, so in the last episode, we got Maggie's realization that Alex's realization that she needs the kids. And then we're going to just straight into this, like, they felt like there was no time for it to sit.
Yeah, no, I mean, cause I agree as a whole that this has been rushed. I hated that it was like introduced in episode 2, then we had it's fine in episode 3, and then episode 4 it was like it moved one big thing every episode, and I didn't like that. Last episode to this one though, I don't feel as strongly about it being too quick.
Okay.
Oddly, I think because it skipped the stuff that I was kind of dreading, and because it went straight to where we naturally felt it was going anyway, it felt like it didn't waste my time. It felt like it was saying no.
I think I like instance, okay, I needed to go from that to this, but I think I needed an episode in between for Alex to kind of sit on it personally, at least.
Okay.
So if this stuff had just happened next week, and we didn't have any of their stuff this episode, I think I'd have had a lot less problems with it there.
Yeah, I think as far as episode to episode goes, the last one to this one is the one I've had the least problem with it, how it's progressed. Partly because it skipped the tedious part, and and all the scenes with them in this episode for the most part were actually pretty solid. Like them having their breakup sex and just like sort of questioning one last time, are we really doing this? Like, because it was the first time where the debate of do you really need kids. It didn't end like a weird argument. It just ended with Maggie hugging her because she understood. It was like, okay, she just kind of accepts it and it's okay now.
Yeah, and as much as I still kind of hate this plot and breaking them up at all, it's a bit different for a TV breakup, I think. I mean, usually it ends on an argument. It's a big split. It's
someone cheats on someone, like there's always, or someone dies.
Whereas this, this acceptance that, okay, no, we can't be together. It's just not going to work out for,
Do you know what I like about it? a little bit actually. That we were talking about it in those terms. I kind of like that. This is Alex's first relationship since she came out. This is kind of the relationship that brought her out, and
Yeah.
I do kind of like that it's still kind of a learning experience for her. That, you know, the idea that the first person she found was going to be the one, and that she's kind of learned that, no, okay, we were a good match in a lot of ways, but, you know, it still wasn't quite everything synced up. And it's like, at least for her, I think it is a good learning experience. Admittedly, if I'm going to be cynical, I think the reason why it's ending like this is because they knew they would get so much backlash if they did any of the usual options.
Oh,
You know,
absolutely.
If they killed off Maggie, but especially since there's a particular trope on TV right now, for some reason, and I don't know how intentional this is, but for whatever reason, like, lesbians are dying left and right in TV shows, and it's been happening for like a decade. And, you know, once people noticed, it was like, this is feeling a bit weird. Why is it every time there's a lesbian couple, one of them gets offed?
Right. I agree. It couldn't have been a death. For that reason, and like we mentioned at the start, CW is very progressive in these matters.
Yeah.
So that I think they're aware enough that they couldn't have done that.
And I suppose, to an extent, as much as I kind of groaned with the, it's because one wants kids and one doesn't, because that does make me groan because I'm so used to it with the straight couples. I do have to kind of admit, when was the last time we had that plot with a gay couple?
I don't know if I've seen it on TV.
I feel like the subject of a gay couple having kids isn't brought up as much on TV. Certainly not as a breakup sort of.
Not as a breakup, definitely not.
Yeah.
I think I see it a lot as a discussion of, are we, you know, the just the normal, like, are we ready? Should we do this?
I mean, at least in theory, that is actually at least an interesting thing to tackle in a sense, like, because you don't get to see it often on TV. Obviously, people are just happy that they're together, are going to be pissed that they're broken up now.
No. And but like, again, you know, you're saying, you know, it's this thing we don't see a gay couple do on TV, but I like that it's just, no, this is what a normal couple, you know, like a straight couple would do. It's just, you know, if they're not going to work out, well, that's it, isn't it?
Just to clarify what you said, the point is they're both normal. There's not straight isn't
that,
normal.
That is what I was saying there.
Yeah, I'm just picking up on it because someone might take that out of context if you said that there. Yeah, that's kind of the point. They're having a normal couple problem, as it were, and that's okay because typically, I think the bad path to go down would be every single problem they have is because they're gay, and that's not what this problem is at all. It's got nothing to do with them being gay. This is just a normal thing that two people might disagree on. So no, but yeah,
I don't like this happening.
No, I don't necessarily like that it happened either, but I can kind of see the intent with some of it. I wish it had been spaced out better. I wish it had maybe built a bit more naturally. Honestly, the worst part of the whole thing is still the way it was introduced for me. Yeah. You know, where I was like, oh, you were really good with that kid. Oh, yeah, I've always thought I'd be a good mother. It's like, oh, I didn't really see myself having kids. Oh, okay. Like, I hate how
It was
sort
really
of
cringy, wasn't it?
It was just so forced. It was so in your face in one little moment, and I think, I don't know, it's a subtle way of doing it would have helped so much.
I think the thing is that's how I felt about a lot of this plot. It's been just like really heavy-handed. Like it knows it wants to break him up. It knows this is what it's going to do. So it's just going, let's just hit the beats. Let's just do it. Let's not even try.
Yeah.
And I think it's only saved for the most part by the acting.
Yeah. Yeah. But I mean, it's done now. So Alex will be in a pissy mood for a while. But honestly, pissy mood Alex is kind of funny Alex at times. But you know, if she's being mean to win, it can be gold.
That's always true.
So well, hopefully that turns out to be the case.
Yeah.
I guess that'll take us on to The Flash Season 4, Episode 5. It's called Girls' Night Out. Do you know what this reminded me a lot of, actually?
If you say... go on.
If I say what were you worried about me saying?
You know exactly what I'm worried about you referencing.
It reminded me a lot of an episode of Battlestar Galactica, Season 2. No, I'm just kidding. It's the Zeppo. It's the Xander episode of Buffy the Vampire Slayer, the hit television show, in which we take out the main team and we focus. In that case, it was on one character. In this episode, they take out all the male characters. I mean, they have a little subplot they're doing on their own, obviously, but and the main threat, the main sort of entity that has to be dealt with in this episode, it's all the female characters that have to deal with it, and that's kind of the idea. Of course, it doesn't start that way. It starts off with, Barry's going to have his bachelor party, and Iris going to have her bachelorette party, and then we're going to do their different things. And do you know what I really liked about both characters' his party in this? Is I liked that neither one was at least intended to be the typical thing that you see in TV shows. Barry just wanted a nice dinner with his male friends. Maybe go bowling or something. Iris just wanted to have a dinner with her lady friends. She didn't want to have some, Barry didn't want to go to a strip club. I mean,
he wanted to go for a nice steak.
Yeah.
I can respect that.
I can respect that. Of course, Debney has some other ideas and drags them all to
the Golden Booty.
The Golden Booty, that was it.
Yes, because it has all-you-can-eat steak and chicken for $5.
I cannot imagine that steak and chicken's particularly good.
Probably not, but I don't think that's supposed to be the main appeal.
And there's a frame photo on the wall of Debney because he's the number one customer, and he's like, got his thumb out. I
love this plot.
Do you know Debney? I did not expect Debney to be around in the very next episode. I thought we'd get him.
Yeah, I think we even said last week, we'll see him a few times over the season.
Yeah, but no, it seems like he's actually a proper member of the cast.
Yeah, he's replacing Wally.
Kinda. Which, in a weird way, is a bit more interesting just because he has a different power set, so he contributes in a different way.
Yeah, I think that's probably why it is. It's like, well, if we introduce another one, the team might get a bit unwieldy. But...
honestly, put Wally on Legends. I like Wally, but he can be more useful to that team than he maybe is on Flash.
Do a speedster.
Yeah. I think that's an idea.
That said, they nerf everyone already.
Or have they taken him off because they're planning on putting him on Titans?
Are you thinking Titans isn't part of this continuity though?
They're saying it's not yet, but you never know.
So, all right, fine. They could just breach him over.
You never know. So yeah, where was I? The guys are there for Barry, and Debney's like, nah, that's $5 steaks, and I don't even think he tells them it's a strip club. He just takes them.
He doesn't. They just show in. It's like it's a strip club.
Yeah, and so Cisco has prepared some speedster alcohol so he can actually get drunk.
Even before that, I like how he's going, no, we're doing this properly with the brandies, and he's like, look, Harry, you got to warm up the glasses first. You got to do it properly. And then Harry just downs it. He's like, you got to enjoy it.
And so he gets drunk, and we have drunk Barry for this episode,
I love drunk Barry,
who is announcing loudly at the bar that he's the Flash to everyone, and Joe has to come up and sort of take him away. And it was just making me laugh because we always joke that he just takes his hood off for anyone. He did it last week. He showed Debney who he was last week with almost no prompting whatsoever.
This is it. Get him drunk and I'll tell anyone.
And my favourite part of drunk Barry though might be when he said he went to get peanuts up at the bar, and he just sort of goes, boom.
He just does like his whoosh.
And he's like, what did you just do, Barry? He's like, I went and got peanuts at the bar. You didn't even move. Or did I? Yeah, drunk Barry's funny. Debney stealing money from like the booth, like down the outside of the
drunk Barry eating the chicken wings.
Oh yeah, I just really love
drunk Barry wings. Going on about Titanic.
Obviously, they end up seeing Cecile's daughter as one of the strippers, which is a little bit awkward for Joe, as you might imagine. Which is kind of a counterpoint to the rest of the episode, which is obviously very pro-feminism, and that's kind of like the idea that it's like, because she's there as well because she's the one who brings up the hashtag feminism thing. She's saying to her mother she's going out to she's writing articles and whatnot and talking about all that stuff, and she's like saying to Joe, like, no, I'm doing this as part of a project. I want to like sort of research this and live this life and sort of write about how this operates, in current society, and what those sort of ins and outs are. And although she sort of admits at the end of the episode that she kind of went too far, and she wasn't really working there for that reason. Like, maybe it started that way and it progressed or whatever. But so it kind of offers this counterbalance or not counterbalance, but this extra point to the rest of the episode, where it's not just being strong and fighting the bad guys isn't only what makes you a strong woman. I guess is what I'm saying. So that's that. They end up going to jail because a bar fight breaks out, and the whole thing basically boils down to Joe is terrified because he realised that he's almost 50 and he's about to have a new kid. Yeah. And Barry's like, hey, you raised 2 kids on your own. Now you're going to have a partner, and all of us are all adults to help and be uncles and aunties. So I think you're okay. I think you're okay, Joe. And Joe's like, yeah, sure. But he met Cecile at the end, and she's like, yeah, I'm scared too. Yeah, look at that, we bonded.
Such an easy relationship, isn't it?
Yeah, there you go. That was basically the guy thing. It was there for the jokes. It was there to kind of intersect, and obviously they all give up their phones at the door of the strip club, and that's why no one else can get through to them.
And another high point for me was the moment where the bar fight breaks out, and Joe's like, "All right, everyone, I'm a cop," and he just gets tackled, and then Barry stands up and goes, "I'm the Flash."
I'm the Flash. But obviously the main plot was the girls. The main plot was the bachelorette party. I mean, I groaned a little bit at the start of the episode because Felicity just wanders in.
Yeah, I groaned a couple of times at her stuff.
Yeah, although her freaking out at Dibney is amusing.
Yeah.
That's amusing. And she's like, they convince Caitlin to come. Caitlin's booking flights somewhere. She's trying to run away. And I was like, no, you need to come. And then Cecile's coming. So we have these four. They go out for dinner. And Weird Eye, yeah, I'll call him
Snake Eye.
Well, I'll call him Snake Eye now, but we didn't know he was Snake Eye before we see him in this scene.
Yeah.
He comes in and he's all, she wants to see you. She's just all grunty. And Felicity thinks he's a stripper and is just like, no, less talking, take it off. Your thoughts on that line?
I was just like, ugh, this came 30 seconds or so after she talked about how she was, getting on really well with Oliver and William. And there's like, strippers here, I don't care about Oliver.
Yeah, well, I think, again, talk about counterpoints, like, the guys went to a strip club this episode, she assumed this was a stripper, and she was ready for stripping. So, it was, balance, whatnot. But he attacks them, and Caitlin, Killer Frost's out to fight back, and Cecile's like terrified at first as well because she was kidnapped by Killer Frost last season and brings that up. It's like, wait, that's Caitlin? And I really didn't recognise the resemblance at all. Not even a little bit. That happens
as well with Dibney. I mean, at least Dibney might be drunk, but
yeah, true.
But he comes in, he's like, oh, chicks with white hair are hot, and then she turns back to normal and is like, oh, it's just Caitlin.
Actually, you're not emphasising the delivery of that line. It's like, oh, it's just Caitlin.
Yeah,
he was upset.
He's so disappointed, wasn't he?
So yeah, so he wants her to go see her boss, the kingpin that she's been working under, who turns out to be Blacksmith, and she's played by Katie Sackhoff, doing some accent that I think is supposed to be English, but I
think it's meant to be an English accent, but it's not.
And I like Katie Sackhoff a lot, and I don't know why does she have an accent? Just let her use her own accent.
I don't understand why. There is nothing about this character that says she has to have an accent. At no point do we learn anything about her that says, "Oh yeah, she's from England."
No, there's nothing. She just has an accent, and it's a weird accent. It's an awkward accent, and I'm like, why is this a thing? Why are we doing this? It's the sort of thing where if they'd cast someone from England, but yeah, just have them have an English accent, whatever.
It's because villains are English. You know this. That's the rules of the movies.
Yeah, you are awful, I have to admit.
Yeah, I can't argue.
You're awful.
I am convinced it is rooted in colonialism, and the rest of the world still has a problem with Britain. It's like, nah, they're the bad guys. Let's just do it. Let's just, they ever collectively decided, it's like, you're playing villains forever.
England are the bad guys, just to clarify.
Yeah.
When was the last Scottish villain you popped up with, eh? Nah, we're heroes.
I haven't got one. No, not right now. It'll come to me.
Heroes. That's all I'm saying. But yeah, so this goes down, and the rest of the ladies follow her there. They intercept. That's the word I was looking for. They intercept. Iris jumps out and is like, "Hey, let's not do this!" Right in the middle of an argument.
Put the meta powers down.
And I'm like, "Yeah, you're still wearing your bachelorette sash, and you're like, what are you going to do, Iris? Come on, I get you're confident, but you're maybe stepping outside your limits here." And obviously, the whole plot here is revolving around the fact that Blacksmith has a meta that was created on the bus called the Weeper. Yeah, the Weeper. And because she cracks a little joke, "Oh, I love naming metas," and Frost is like, "Yeah, I know someone like that too." And I'm like, "Oh, very good." So this guy, his tears are basically a drug. They make you feel pure love, I believe was the phrase that was used. Yeah. So she's got him chained up, and she's basically just mining him for product. And Blacksmith's got this kind of interesting power. She can control this metal, but only this very specific type of metal. She's got a bucket of it that she carries around with her. It's all these little shards, but she forms it into...
she carries it on her own, or do you think she has a henchman that carries it, like, permanently?
Well, a henchman. Yeah, I can see her having a henchman.
But, I mean, is it the least favourite henchman that has to carry the bucket? Because she talks about her henchman rankings. Snake Eye's third.
No, most favourite, because I think...
Well, Caitlyn's a most favourite.
Is Caitlyn a most favourite? Or second most favourite? Well, I feel you want someone you trust with your bucket of precious metal.
Okay.
So, yeah.
But then you can't send them off to do anything else. That's kind of a waste of a henchman.
So you think it's more like a runner job in a TV show where they're just the ones getting
it's like, you just stand there and carry this. If you get shot, I don't give a shit.
Yeah, maybe. But she basically forms a glove with it around her hand and then kind of shoots little shards out at people and whatnot.
Yeah, I like they get they're pretty inventive with it. You know, they make it into a shield and stuff.
Yeah, she has a lot of cool little things. It's kind of like because it's all in shards and she's controlling all those little bits. It's kind of like almost as if she had like a nanobot glove or something like that she. She could kind of form into a shield or shoot a little bit at, and yeah, it makes it so. I thought it looked fun whenever she used it. It was a nice little touch. So. I like Katie Sackhoff, hate the accent, but love the glove. So, you know, mixed emotions on the villain of this episode, but we have that, and Caitlin's like, oh, I'm going to have to go back, and she defrosts. I don't even mean that.
Oh, I hope they use that.
Oh, they should. They really should. Because basically they set up that she's proper Jekyll and Hyde now, although Felicity specifically references the Incredible Hulk, which is weird because A, it's a Marvel character. Not that they can't do that, but they referenced it. And B, it's more Jekyll and Hyde, because Hulk's when she gets angry. I feel like...
I don't know. I said it was Hulk in the first episode. Like that's exactly what they were doing, the way they went with it.
Yeah. I mean,
it's when she loses control, or, you know, for a lot of it. It's not... I mean...
Well, not anymore.
This episode marketed it a little bit more.
Yeah. It seems like she's starting to maybe control it a little bit, and she's starting to be able to initiate the change. I mean,
yeah, she's had the... You know, she basically had her I'm always angry moment.
Oh, she's not had that yet. Although it's
no. But that's, you know, that's kind of where she's going towards.
So they're back at the base. Like, we have to figure this out. We have to help this Reaper guy. He's a victim. We helped create him. We need to do this. Okay, the guys aren't answering. We're just gonna have to do this ourselves. And that's when Cecile's like, you know, she brings up hashtag feminism again, like her daughter did earlier. And then they all sort of, you know, they all fist bump, hands in, hashtag feminism. So they have a whole thing. That's nice. It's actually kind of nice that they get to just sort of like deal with something themselves. But later on, when they actually find where she is and they find out where this deal's good, because Blacksmith's try to sell the Reaper to some other gang, and Caitlin's I can't go, I can't control the powers, I can't go, and I know she's going to show up later anyway. But then Iris is like, it's okay, Caitlin, we've got this, and I'm like, now hold on a minute, she's the only one out of you with powers. And you're going to fight a meta who can like make a glove that can throw metal shards at you. Now, I'm all for you guys being confident and doing things properly. And Iris,
don't be reckless.
Iris especially has been very, very good as being the leader and stuff recently. This is not about that. This is about who has superpowers and who does not. You do not. And
yeah, this isn't about saying no, you can't do this. This is about use some common sense, please. Yeah. Don't just take stupid risks because you're like, I can do anything. No, be realistic.
That said, I'm not gonna lie, I did kind of like when it like cut to like them there and like her and Felicity are just standing there. Felicity's got the cold gun and Iris has got one of the other big things. Yeah. I don't know what specific gun it was, but it was another Cisco creation of some sort.
Yes, Cisco gun number 12.
Yeah, and I mean it goes very badly. They just get taken off them immediately. They get caught almost instantly.
Shooting 3, 2, 1. Oh, okay, we got guns to the back of the head.
Yeah. But of course, Caitlin shows up, Killer Frost style, shields them with a bubble of ice, which was kind of cool.
I like that she wasn't Killer Frost at first when she showed up, though. She walks in as Caitlin.
That's true. And then, you know, Cecile's, you know, the computer girl for this particular scene. She's doing that job. And I like them when they say, hey, I can use that magnet to get all our metal away from her. And she's like, how the hell did I do that? I'm glad that was her response. I'm glad it wasn't just, yeah, I know how to do that.
Yeah.
Tap,
and they're like,
tap.
oh, yeah, just click it. Like, really, just click it.
I assumed before they went in, Felicity hacked for her, and it was already kind of...
Oh, that's convenient, wasn't it?
Well, of course she would. Why wouldn't she do that first?
I don't know.
She made sure she was set up, she had everything ready for her, so for her it was just a case of clicking a couple of things to get it going. That's my headcanon, that's how I'm explaining it.
Right, okay, fine, I'll allow it.
Hey, last week on Arrow, Oliver was suddenly a great hacker for some reason, so this is better than that.
That's true. I've got some criticisms with some Team Arrow hacking coming up as well.
Oh, good. Oh. So, so no, they win. They save the day, and they go back. And I kind of like the whole thing at the end when, and again, I know I was joking earlier when I was like, I was forcing the Zeppo reference, but the end of the episode is actually a lot like the Zeppo, where they come back in. And both the guys and girls at the back at Star Labs, and they're like, "Oh, so hey Barry, how was your night? Oh, it was uneventful. You know, it was nice." And she's like, "Yeah, we didn't get up too much either. Like it was like neither one told each other about what happened."
I mean, then it went, well, I mean, some hitches. One great.
Yeah, but you know, just the idea that they weren't actually just saying what happened. They're just like, "Yeah, let's just forget about what happened tonight. It's fine.
Yeah,
I don't want to talk about it." But no, I had fun with the episode actually.
Yeah, that was pretty solid.
It was nice to have like, because I think what it did more so because I feel like Iris has been getting a lot of great stuff recently anyway to be the leader, so she just felt pretty useful and strong anyway. But I think like Cecile getting this chance to kind of be more of a main character for an episode was a nice touch, and obviously Caitlin got a lot here because and as much as I wasn't looking forward to her, you know, like her crime boss plot, I'm glad that it's basically done in one episode.
Yeah, it could have been worse.
It doesn't feel like they're going to string it out for like you know a long time.
And then you basically had Felicity there to just fill out the numbers.
Yeah, so it wasn't just 3 people. Especially when it's like, you know, Caitlin, who was maybe not going to show up, and your dad's girlfriend.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, they offered her dad's girlfriend's daughter as well.
True. But I mean, Jesse's on another Earth.
Never to be seen again.
Never to be seen again. Yeah. Nah, we'll see her again. We'll see her and her team at some point. I bet you we will.
Gypsy's busy.
Gypsy's
oh
busy.
My god, I wish Gypsy had been here for this. That would have been so much better.
I feel like it would have been too easy though, because she's really good with her power. Because the whole thing is that Caitlin's
I get
powerful,
it, but
she's not.
How much more fun would it have been to have Gypsy involved, just for the banter?
Yeah, no, it don't work. Especially since I don't think like Felicity's met her, so that might have been kind of fun. Like, well, you know, the first time she just opened a portal and jumped through, and she's like, "What just happened?"
Yeah. And she's like, that's Cisco's girl. It's fine. You'll get used to it.
What was her real name again? Cynthia.
Yeah.
This is Cynthia. You call me that again, I will reach your head away from your body.
I like the idea. They call her that, and then she go, "I'm gonna kill Cisco," because he knows that he's told them.
It was good. Like we said, because of the Andrew Kreisberg news. In retrospect, this episode feels a bit weird. It's like, was he involved with this? This is kind of strange. Like because this is obviously. I mean, the whole thing was #feminism. That was kind of the
the episode might as well have been called that.
Yeah, this was the girl power episode, which actually I think is great. I think it's good to do that. It's the sort of thing that I think all the shows could benefit from doing from time to time, is giving the spotlight to someone who's not the main character. You know, give like a Martian Manhunter an episode that's his on Supergirl, or give.
I mean, we kind of just had that.
We kind of had it with Lena, but not maybe to the same extent.
Yeah,
as
but we kind of had a Martian Manhunter one not so long ago.
Oh, sure. No, we did. Yeah, no, that's fair. But you know what I'm saying? Like,
I do. We need a win episode, is what you're really saying.
That's what I'm saying. I want a win episode. Not so much. Actually, a Morgan Edge episode would be great. Let's have an evil episode where it's just him and
let's do it.
Doing dark things behind closed doors. But yeah, so I don't know. Yeah, so his thing makes this a little bit weird because it feels not disingenuous, because I'm sure there's plenty of people on that writing team who
have nothing to do with that. I've never been anything like that.
Hell, maybe some people
believe all this,
and also maybe some people on that writing team that might have accused him of things as well.
It might well have been. This might have been almost fighting back against him. This episode,
in a very strange way, but yeah. So, I don't think it was necessarily as fun as the last couple, but I do think it maybe had a more of a some better character stories. Like they had some better moments for them.
It did.
And for growing the characters, had better moments.
I think the girl plot was enjoyable, and like an actual it was a half decent plot for what obviously because they were neutered in terms of powers, so it's like, okay, what can we do? So it's different to what we usually see on Flash.
Yeah, they had to have a different type of plot that they could handle because they don't have a speedster who can just.
So it was interesting just on the basis that it was something different, and then the guy plot was, okay, no, this is the funny side. Let's make all the jokes, which was great.
Yeah, and I think what I like about it as well is I like that Caitlyn's at a point now where, maybe when something big's going down, like Barry looks over and says, "Hey, I need your help.
Yeah.
I can't fight this alone." It may even be the crossover. I can see it being, when all those villains are around, and it's like, okay, no, we need Frost on Team Good Guy here. Come on now.
I like that we've got Cisco and Caitlyn with the powers now. We can have a proper team up.
Yeah. It's funny actually. I was never super fond of when they started introducing Caitlyn getting the Frost powers because it just the whole like she has to wear a bracelet to like stop it and stuff. I was never super into that.
Yeah.
I'm kind of liking this though, where she's starting to get a little bit of control, and when she does change, she's still different and she's still Killer Frost compared to Caitlyn, but it is actually compared to Hulk. It's where you've got Hulk where he's a bit smarter now and he's like he can interact with them. Because I kind of liked when she was like making some catty comments here, where she's like, "Yeah, it's been fun, ladies," and she tries to leave and stuff like that.
Yeah, what was it? Caitlyn's dress sense is the same as her taste in men. Terrible.
Well, they all end up dead.
Oh yeah, Julian didn't end up dead.
For all intents and purposes, I mean, he's back in England.
He's dead to us, dead to the show, but he didn't die. just vanished one day.
You don't know what he did when he got back to England. He could
have been hit by a bus. How do I know?
Could have been hit by a bus, the red double-decker bus, because it's England.
I mean, I'm pretty sure they're only in London, but
is that just a London thing? Okay.
Yeah. It is. Sorry to disappoint you.
Fair enough. What do you want from me?
Sorry to disappoint all the Americans who listen to this. That's just London.
Why? You could paint. Just get a bus and paint it red.
You could. Black cabs as well. That's basically just London and like a handful of other places.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah.
Anyway, so that's the Flash. No, I thought it was solid. I like the plots and good character beats. So hey, and like again, I'm really amazed that since like say halfway through last season, how much Iris has like improved as a character.
Yeah, it was when it got to the death sentence on her, she became more proactive and she was like taking risks.
Yeah, because it wasn't she was unlikable before. She was a bit thin in terms of who she was as a character. Whereas now it's like no, she has her own thing. She has her own plot. She has her own.
Yeah, I think it was that experience of coming close to death, almost in a meta way. I was like, okay, yeah, I haven't really done anything. Maybe I should. And they've just kind of ran with that idea and gone, okay, let's give her something to do.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's nice to see. So, #feminism. Yeah. And with that, we shall move on to #vampires with Legends of Tomorrow.
Can I just say, I hate people saying hashtag in front of something. Fine, type it. It makes sense on Twitter where it actually does something. But I hate people just saying hashtag something. I just hate it. Just don't do it.
You ruined my segue for that.
I did, on purpose.
That's why you're always the villains. Because you don't have a soul. This is Legend of Tomorrow, Season 3, Episode 5. It is called Return of the Mack. Full spoilers, of course. So, I don't know when I found out exactly, but I remember glancing at, like, you get a little plot synopsis, maybe it was IMDb, but I don't know, before I'd seen the episode. And I just read... They're in 19th century London hunting a vampire, and I went, ha. This show really is a cartoon. We've said that a lot this season, but the way it can just shift to them all wearing like old town London police outfits and like looking for a vampire, I'm like, this is just they just do anything they want now. This is ridiculous.
I happen to see what next episode is as well. I'm like, I love this show. Next episode is the Freaky Friday one, where
who's switching?
Jackson Stein.
Oh, that's. I get why that's happening, but I feel like they already feel each other anyway.
I get it, but they can still play up the comedy, which is all they're gonna do because it's a cartoon, so it's gonna be fun.
Maybe I mean, there's a lot of great mixed stuff in this with lines, but one of my favourite, just because I think Jax is typically not as funny as some of the other characters, but he has a fantastic line this episode. He's like, the first time I got laid after we became Firestorm, Stein just came in the next day and said, congratulations, Jefferson, and patted him on the back.
Yeah,
because he just knew he'd had sex.
Jax is typically the straight man.
Yes, he's the straight man. You're right. He is. He's there to react to the
You've got to have one.
Which,
You've
by the
gotta
way,
have one for work.
I mean, I don't think it's his real accent per se, but he got to do an English accent in this episode for a brief moment.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that was fun for him to do, because he got to just, let it fly.
Yeah,
As
definitely.
opposed to normal. So there's an anachronism. There's an opening, which I will, if I'm going to start with a criticism of the opening, is that I do think it's too quick before we find out what's going on. Like it's doing the suspense scene of this woman being chased through the old streets of London.
Yeah.
And it's just moving too quick, and it's like within 30 seconds, oh no, the guy that's chasing is actually Rip, and he's looking for the vampire. And I'm like, oh, that was just super quick. Like, you might as well have just not bothered and just had him pop out and say it.
No, I get it. But I really like the music at that point.
Oh, that's good, because what they like to do in this show, depending on where they've went and what they're doing, is they'll do like a remix of the main theme in like that whatever the style suits the.
Yeah,
so,
and they do it on the old violin.
Yeah, so in this case, it's the sort of thing you'd think you'd hear with an old Dracula story, so it was fun.
It was nice.
So you got an anachronism, and so basically Nate figures out that there's anachronisms happening. Most of them are what they caused, but there's a few that aren't. There's some outliers that don't make sense.
Also, let's not brush over Nate being amazing again already. Just, him on coffee, just being hyper, jumping around. I love it.
It was amusing, I won't lie. But he's like, so there's this one, and it's 1895, I think was the year, and he's like, there's a vampire, look at all these stories, 2 holes in the neck, and he's all excited. And that's where, I mean, we already see Mick's actually reading Dracula, because basically when he's calling for the meeting, he's like, and Mick, I've got beer, and he's like, and I love that Mick's wearing glasses. I don't know what it is. There's just something funny about him, like with it, because it's down his nose like that as well. He's like, like beer.
I like it because this is shit beer for breakfast.
I do want to I want to point out a plot hole. It doesn't really matter, but I want to point it out anyway. So he mentions vampire. Mick's holding a steak, and he's like, "Oh, vampire! I've always wanted to kill one of these." And Jackson's like, "Wait, do you carry that around all the time?" All my life, and that's really funny. But are you really going to tell me that he is reading Dracula for the first time after already wanting to kill a vampire his entire life?
I get it. He's watched Dracula. He's watched movies. But I don't think Mick was ever much of a reading guy. And this is part of telling us that, he's is it? The legends are rubbing off on him. He's becoming a better guy. He's like, okay, I'll read something.
I don't know if that explains him saying don't spoil the ending.
It might be different. Movies change things.
There's some fun stuff later on when they find the grave and it's been dug up, and he's like, "Yes, the vampire must have dug it out before sunset." And then later on, they're at the fancy party trying to sort of investigate, and he just grabs one of the trays, the silver trays, and he's like, "No reflection, they're getting a steak." And he's just he was cracking me up.
It's when they go to the coroner's and they find the body, he just immediately just stabs it and goes, "I'm taking no chances with it coming back."
So they land in London. They're all dressed as police. It's a bit weird that there's 7 police officers all going together, but whatever.
Yeah, but they're called out on it pretty quickly.
They are. No, to be fair, they are. The coroner's like, "Hey, yeah." And if it even points out, if the NYPD are handing out police badges to women, I can't remember what he says, but
I'm the Queen of England.
I'm the Queen of England. That was it. And he's all that, and then we hear some music play, and he's got a smartwatch on, and Palmer's like, "Hey, that's a Palmer one. That's from
yeah. I like how it starts playing, and everyone looks around, and Sarah's like, "Who brought their phone?" It's that classic moment that it's such a relatable thing. When you're in a meeting or something, and someone's phone goes off, everyone looks around awkwardly. It's like, right, who is it?
Yeah, it's a very relatable moment, but it's in the context of we shouldn't have our phones on us because it's 1895, and that'll make us stand out a bit.
Yeah. Also, Nate got to do his awful Scottish accent again. He's having fun with that. When he said we were Scotland Yard, and he comes in, he does.
Was that supposed to be a Scottish accent?
I think it was, yeah.
Did they realise that Scotland Yard doesn't have to actually be Scottish people, right?
I think they do, but I don't think Nate gives a shit. I think he's just going for it anyway.
Nate, especially being a historian, I feel like would
I don't
understand
think he cares. I think he's just going for it. I like the idea that he knows it's bad. He's just doing it anyway.
I'm from Scotland Yard. There you go. That's a proper one. the vampires from the future. We've dictated, or not dictated, we've deduced that much, right? We've deduced, well, that's a good word to use, because it's very Sherlock Holmes, actually, because at one point Rip even says the game is afoot.
Yes, of course they gave it to the British guy to quote Sherlock Holmes.
Yeah, and... yeah, so we're like, okay, so someone's from the future. And honestly, right at the start of the episode, I was thinking, right, it's not actually a vampire. There's going to be... it looks like a vampire killing, but it's not going to be a vampire. And I would never... I mean, I didn't look at who was in this episode. I didn't see, like, any of that, like, you know, anything that would tell me what was going on for the rest of this episode. And I honestly would never have predicted this was going to go where it went. And I'm actually kind of pleased I didn't know, because it was actually a genuine surprise, because I had no idea that a certain character was back on the show.
I didn't either. I mean, I think I knew he'd been cast at some point, because when over the summer where you get all those pieces of information.
Yeah.
And I think I heard it, but I just kind of, it was out so long ago I'd forgotten.
So they're investigating, end up going to this fancy party to try and, like, investigate, and they're there, and there's this mystical woman, what's her name, Eleanor, who I recognised, and I didn't know what I knew her from. She was on Dexter for a season. She's popped up in some other things, but I knew I recognised her from something. And she's I can talk to the dead, I can do a seance, I can talk to people, and like Zari's like all kind of, yeah, right, sure. Yeah, none of that stuff exists. It's stupid. Yeah, and her whole thing this episode, of course, is that she's feeling very, guilty about her brother, because she brings up at the start, she's like, hey, we're on a time travel ship. Let's go back, I can save my brother's life. And Sarah's like, yeah, that is not how it works. We fix the things that have went wrong. We don't alter history to suit ourselves. And, and I actually really like this moment, because she's like, yeah, but have you ever lost someone and not wanted to go back and save them?
Because have you ever lost a brother?
Yeah, she's like, does a sister count? And I'm like, you know what, that was a nice exchange.
And that was such a big part of her arc last season against Dark.
Which
is why it was really nice in this episode specifically. And
it was a perfect moment as well, just in the sense that we could see where this conversation was going, but it was just so satisfying when Zari tried to be a smart ass and was like, yeah, but you don't know what it's like to lose a brother. And she's like, yeah, what about sister? And it's like, yeah, suck it, Zari. And I'm not saying, I mean, I like Zari a lot, I'm not, but I'm just, in that conversation, she's going to lose this fight, because Sarah's made those hard choices already. She's learned that she can't do that. And so that was nice, but I also like the small joke where Amaya comes into her room, like, she doesn't knock, and like she's down the floor, like, looking for something. She's like, "Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you praying." And she's like, "Mack is that way. I was just looking for my earring," which actually made me think: when the ship's in the time stream flying, which way does she face?
Mecca? Take your best guess. I mean, I assume any direction, because at that point you're outside time. Any direction you go, you'll end up where it is.
Just a small thought.
Oh no, that's fair.
Yeah, and so Zari's very sort of demotivated this episode. She's kind of like, oh, what I said, my brother, no one's letting me. I blame myself. I don't deserve this totem. There's a lot of that going on with her. I still like her a lot though. Like interacting with the rest of the team. Like, I loved her at the party, and she's like, I can't believe we're in a time period where women can't vote and there's no internet. Savages, munch on something. I also like that Amaya was standing right next to her, and it's like, well, how much of that did she have from her time period?
No, exactly.
She's like, wait a minute, what are you talking about? My time period wasn't that bad. So she begrudgingly sits down and has because Eleanor's like, oh, someone, you lost a brother, you lost a loved one, and she starts talking about and she's like, this is bullshit. But she kind of gets convinced a little bit before everything ends and everything goes down, because meanwhile we have Rip, who's shown up. They run into Rip when they're at the cemetery. Yeah, and he's all like, oh, the Time Bureau don't actually know I'm here. I could actually use the Legends' help. And he's like, yeah, we have to do this. We have to go and investigate this. And they actually use Nate as bait because he's pretty, as Mick puts it.
Yeah, yes. He goes, because I'm handsome. And Mick goes, pretty. Yeah, pretty handsome. I'll take it.
So use him as bait, and he gets kidnapped out of nowhere by someone who looks like Stein. It turns out his great-grandfather, or whatever the relation was. Yeah. He's got a mustache, and he's doing the accent okay. He's doing a pretty decent English accent.
Yes, Sir Stein.
It's a little bit maybe over the top, but I think it's meant to be. It's meant to be a kind of.
I think with him being, because he's supposed to be this over-the-top actor who's he's been knighted. He's Sir Stein. I think it's intentionally over the top.
Yes, it's what? Yes, I am a I am a vampire hunter and doctor. How dare you? And it's very, very kind of
Yeah,
that.
it's very Van Helsing.
Yeah, said he's evil.
Yes, exactly.
And you find out he's just using like two syringes, which, by the way, was really making me laugh because it looked like the. This is a weird thing to compare it to, but for anyone who's played The Evil Within, that's what your health kits look like in that game. It's like two syringes called a stim pack, but it's in the same sort of thing where it's like two like held together in that little thing. I thought that just was amusing me, but yeah, so they've got this vampire from the future in this kind of clear coffin, but it's all dry ice and smoke and stuff, and you can't see inside who it is and whatnot. And back at the ship, Jefferson and Ray are like they're using the sort of the inter-time mobile phone device to contact Mr. Terrific, and Curtis is all, okay, I've done some tests on this watch you've sent me, or the data you've sent me from the watch. He's like, oh, you better sit down for this, by the way, who this watch belongs to. And that's when it cuts to Sarah opening the coffin.
This is one of the things I hate, though. When I was saying about Team Arrow's skills, he ran a fingerprint scanner. That's all he did. He checked fingerprints to go, oh, this is who this belonged to.
Yeah.
You're really telling me this ship outside of time from the future doesn't have a good fingerprint database compared to Team Arrow?
That's a lot of fingerprints to maintain in the ship, to be fair.
They have Gideon.
That's like everyone who's ever existed in all of time. Fingerprints.
Yeah, they should have. They should probably have access to that. It'd be useful.
Like
all the shit that Gideon knows, and she doesn't have some fingerprints in a data bank.
Look, it's not a bad. It's not like a. I'm not disagreeing with the complaint. I'm saying it's small potatoes. They wanted a Curtis cameo. We got a Curtis cameo. What do you want from them?
More, better.
So they open the case, and Sarah's shocked and appalled to find one Damien Dark, and I'm like, oh shit, I didn't know he was on this. Well, never mind where it goes with them. So they get Nate back, and they eventually have to sort of run out quickly, and so begins the sort of debate between Rip and Sarah, where Rip's like, oh no, we have to use Damien, we have to let him sort of survive as bait because Mollis is coming. That's why I'm working outside the system, because I need to stop Mollis. And this is leading us to Mollis. He's the one responsible for these extra abnormations, and all that stuff. And Sarah is like, no, I don't know. I'm not letting him. Like, I'm supposed to let him live again so he can kill my sister. Like another time, and all these things. At this point, she doesn't understand where this Damien's from, admittedly, because I think later on it's clearer where in the timeline this Damien comes from. More on that. But he so they argue about it. He agrees to her thing, and I like that all the other teams stick up for her. They're like, no, she's our captain. What she says goes. You're not our captain anymore, Rip. And he ends up kind of betraying them and locking them inside the ship. He's got like a protocol to like sort of put all these blast shutters on the
another
thing.
one.
Yeah. They can still fly the ship. They can still can they even time
Shoot
jump?
The ship.
They can obviously they can shoot
I think they could time jump.
Yeah.
But,
they just can't get outside of the ship.
Yeah.
But Zari's already left. Zari's basically, because she believes she was talking to her brother, she's went back to see.
Yeah. Also, that woman who's like, okay, so your brother's dead, and I'm the conduit.
Mm.
This guy's not dead for another 150 years.
Because it goes through Zari. It's connected to her as a spirit.
You're just pulling some bullshit out of your ass right now.
Well, no, because it's not like she just goes into the astral plane database and looks for someone who's related to someone in the room. She feels it from them. She carries her brother's presence.
They're not dead yet. They don't exist yet.
Time is a fluid stream. It's not necessarily completely linear.
I'm just calling it out. Stop defending it.
I feel like, honestly, like some of the shit this show pulls, I feel like you're picking out some really stupid things.
This is why I'm picking on them, because it's like I let it get away with anything because it's just fun and it's a cartoon. But I'm just going to call it out when it does the stupid shit. I don't care. I'm just going to call it out.
Okay. So you got that, and so she's there, and the woman's like, oh, to connect again, I'll need a personal item, and also, to be fair, like, she's working with Malice, she might just know all that information, and it might all be bullshit.
No, that's fair.
Aye, checking, mate. Suck it. So, she hands over her amulet, and then immediately, I was like, sorry, that was a bad idea, why did you just hand that over? And immediately the woman's like, ha, I'm evil, you stupid wench, and throws her back with the power, and it's like, okay, Zari, that was a bright idea. So Rip's locked him in, and he goes to intervene, and there's a ceremony. They've got Damien in his little coffin in the middle of this sort of barn-looking area, and we've got all the cult followers around. It's the night of the red moon, and it's a big thing, and they're going to do this. And I loved how both Frankenstein and Dracula this was, because it was like, timing's right, Frankenstein, sort of big sparks and stuff. But then Damien, when he comes back to life, actually stands up, kind of.
Yeah, he does the Dracula thing.
Yeah, the vampire standing up, and he's just kind of floating there, and he looks down, and he's like, "Oh, it's good to be back. Who stole my watch?" That was pretty good. Which, by the way, the watch is a hint of where he's from, actually, because they mentioned what year the watch came out in, and he's like, "It's good to be back." Because it was funny, because as soon as he came back, I'm like, "Well, where is he from? Does he have his powers?" And then immediately, almost, we cut back to him, and the music's playing, and it's probably the most fun I've ever had with a Damien Dark scene.
I was just going to say that this is the most I've ever enjoyed, and I quite liked him last season on Legends. They did a lot better with him than Arrow ever did. Don't be wrong. Especially when he was playing off John Barrowman. Great stuff.
But he's sort of dancing in time with the music and like flipping people away.
Yeah, like doing the finger twisted thing. It's like, oh no, this was fun.
Takes a running kick. He's drinking his drink as he's doing it. It's like, this was just fun into a time.
It really feels like he genuinely believes it's good to be back, and he's like, oh, I'm gonna have fun.
Exactly. And then when the legends do sort of shoot themselves so they can like make a hole in the blast doors and get out, and they show up to try and help save the day, Zari takes her amulet back. She's just kind of like, that's mine, and it just sort of goes back to her, like, that belongs to her. It's part of her family lineage and whatnot. And everyone else fights, and Sarah's fighting Dark, and she's not doing very well because Dark's got his powers, which is what I think is interesting compared to last season, is that this is Dark with his powers. This is his telekinesis. Like, now he's a foe to be reckoned with, but he's like, no, I'm from the future, and I remember everything, even the stuff that you wiped from my mind from season 1. I remember all of it, and I'm like, oh, that is interesting. So not only does he remember killing her sister, he remembers everything they did last season before he got put back in place. So I think that's, I wouldn't have necessarily, if you told me before this season started, we're bringing Damien Dark back, I'd be like, well, really, again? But honestly,
I'd have gone, okay, can we get Merlin back with him? Because that was his best stuff was playing off him.
But honestly, they had fun with him bringing him back with the whole Dracula thing, and then him having fun with being back and having his powers, and then oh no, this is one who can fight them. Yeah, 1-on-1. Like, I'm like, oh no, do you know what? They've done enough in this one episode to prove to me it was worth probably having him back.
Agreed, because he's a pretty good actor.
And unlike last season, this is not Damien Dark from before. This is him brought back to life after he died in Arrow. So he is fair game to kill. Like, Sarah can kill him now.
Yeah,
it'll be harder because he's got his powers.
But she's allowed.
But she's allowed to do it now.
She can stake him.
Because, in fact, now he himself is an aberration. Like, he's...
Yeah, no.
He's not meant to be alive.
I really hope she actually does kill him with a stake. Just to... I know it won't be the vampire episode, but just as, like, to call it back.
I hope she distracts him and Mick kills him with a stake. Mick
stakes him, yeah. Definitely got to be Mick's stake. That's the point.
I want Mick to stake him, and then as he's looking at him as he's dying, rest in peace. That's what I want.
I can see it happening. This show has been shameless.
That's what I want in my Legends. So no, that's most of the main plot. But of course, at the end, and I actually really like the ending of this episode, because the ending of this episode, it's basically Sarah calls in the Time Bureau. Ava shows up. And this will they won't they with Ava is getting hotter by the minute, because they clearly they're forming a bond. They've got respect for each other. Yeah. And Sarah's making her glances over there. Like, Sarah's making her move. I'm counting on it. But she's like, no, like, I'm turning you in, Rip. And she brings up some really good points. Like, you turned your back in the Time Masters, and now you're turning back in the Time Bureau, and you started that organization. You've turned your back on everyone you've ever been aligned with. Why should I trust you? You're kind of destructive in a weird way, and it kind of has been in this episode especially. So it's like, no, it really feels like she's taking command now. Admittedly, you could argue that they're making Rip a bit of a chump because now he's this.
It's because he's lost the beard.
Yeah, I can see it.
He lost the beard. He lost his power.
Absolutely. So
and he lost his really cool gun.
So they're now in good terms with the Time Bureau. They're not going to hunt them anymore, and so they're more kind of uneasy allies now. And it means that they're free to fly and do their thing. And I think it solidifies even more so that Sarah's the captain, the team trust her, and we've got that stuff now set up. So
yeah, I think it was really smart even introducing the main plot till now, because I mean we'd had little hints, but nothing on that the team was aware of until this episode. I think they were just like, no, let's not rush into it, because I think that was always a danger where they start it and then it feels like they have all these filler episodes and it feels like that there's no urgency, whereas they're only just learning about. We've had 4 episodes that were essentially filler episodes before this, but they were really good and fun, but they were filler in terms of how much they were for the main plot.
It's done a lot of stuff for characters though in terms of their plots.
It has,
it got a lot of that stuff done. And on that subject, like Stein agrees to let's split up Firestorm. He's going to help Jefferson sort of work that out. He's pissed at first that they were lying to him about it.
Yes, and Jax has short-term memory loss all episode.
Yeah, I kind of forgot to mention that. Yeah, he keeps at one point he's like, "Rep, where did Rep come from? What's going on?" And it's all very amusing. So that's all good. Zari, of course, continuing this thing that she likes video games. She's like playing Mortal Kombat in her room at one point, which is cool. I approve. That was cool. Her and Zari are bonding a little bit, and they have that moment where their amulets both kind of reach out and, I don't know, smooch, I guess. So, that's the thing. But yeah, that was basically Legends. So, not a lot of fun, as per usual. And I actually like what they're doing with Dark, and I never really thought I'd want them back, but they've convinced me in one episode that, that was actually kind of fun. I'm actually okay with him being around.
If they're going to have fun with him, go for it.
He's more menacing because he has his powers and he remembers everything, so I think there should be some interesting stuff. And again, he's not the main villain, which reminds me, actually, I mentioned that I recognised Eleanor from somewhere else. The voice of Malice, I just noticed on the, not just now, but like earlier on when I was looking at it, I noticed who the voice was. It's actually John Noble, who I like a lot from Fringe. So
I do like him a lot. I'll be honest, I didn't actually catch that was him.
Yeah. Obviously, he's a little bit distorted because
because he has a pretty distinctive voice normally.
Yeah, but when I was hearing it again, looking through some clips, I could actually tell it was him.
I'm gonna have to go back and check because he has usually a very distinctive voice that I can kind of
because obviously we don't see him in this episode, but you hear him through Eleanor. Like she kind of gets possessed by him for a minute to talk through her.
I hope he's not just doing the voice where they've got him.
It depends.
Because we didn't hear anything about his casting at any point.
I wonder. It depends what they want to do with him. No, like is his design purely like a sort of like shadow phantom CG thing, or is he actually like a person? Like the funny thing is, because we know who he is. Like if he shows up and they play it like we don't know that's him until like the twist, we'll be like, oh, we know it's him because it's John Noble.
Yeah. Although we know that and we're talking about this, I don't know if a lot of people will necessarily.
No, that's true. They wouldn't recognise the voice.
Because I wouldn't have recognised the voice just off that.
So I've potentially spoiled a little twist with if they're trying to
Yeah. If they do this now, this is all your fault.
Yeah. To be fair though, it does say it on the casting that it's John Noble playing
anyone
Malice.
Could check.
So I mean, it's not like they're trying to hide it in the casting at the very least. So I guess we'll move on to our final show of the week. Unfortunately, we do have a little bit of Arrow to talk about. This is season 6, episode 5. It's the return, or Deathstroke returns was the way it's phrased. I was going to say the return of Deathstroke, which is the same thing, but yeah, different phrasing. And Slade is looking for his son. He comes to Oliver for help, not to be the Green Arrow, but for diplomacy. He wants the mayor, Oliver Queen, to come with him to, I think, Bosnia. I could be wrong. I could be slightly off there.
That sounds vaguely familiar.
It sounds vaguely right, but I'm not entirely sure.
I was vaguely very drunk.
You were very drunk during this. And they go to Bosnia, and his son's apparently in prison. He wants some diplomacy getting him out. And Oliver's kind of struggling with the idea, but he's relatively honest with William to a point. He doesn't necessarily tell him who Slade is, but he's like, no, I'm going with him because he's looking for his son and I want to help him. Which is a good policy to have. And they go there. he's told the son's dead, but then they go back again. Slade's kind of intimidating, and it kind of becomes clear that the prison guy's lying. He's
it's mildly amusing to watch Oliver kind of keep Slade at bay. It's like,
Yeah.
no, come on, let me deal with this. He brought me in for a reason. Stop threatening.
Also, Slade was overacting and dropping like 80s action movie cheesy one-liners like all episode.
Yeah.
That was really cracking me up. But so they're like, okay, so they see some footage and it's like, oh no, he was taken by someone out of his cell. And
Yeah, because he was a spy as well, apparently. You know,
Yeah.
he followed in his dad's footsteps.
And they go looking for this organization. Slade has a pretty. I mean, honestly, the highlight of the episode is when Slade finds out that this group have got him. He suits up as Deathstroke, and we get a pretty impressive one-er of him just going around this hallway. It's basically a Marvel hallway fight, but because Slade uses a katana and a gun, he's basically just murdering people left and right. You know, he's the Terminator.
It is the first time in this show I can call him Deathstroke the Terminator.
It really feels like that, yeah. And he goes down this hall just brutally murdering. Now, it's a one-er for a lot of it, and then there is one cut, and then there's like another one-er. So there is a cut in the middle of it, but it's pretty impressive stuff for the most part. It's a fun little fight.
It is.
And then we find out the shock and awe that his son Joseph is the leader of this group. He's actually a villain. So 2 points I want to make here. Number one is that we watched this, and this was the cliffhanger at the end of the episode, and we were like shocked when the title came up on the screen because we didn't think we were at the end. We thought we were just like halfway through.
I honestly felt like halfway. This feels like half an episode.
And not because we were enjoying it so much that it was going to end quick. It just felt like, in terms of plot, we were halfway through a story for the episode.
Yeah.
It didn't feel like it wrapped up at all. So that was weird. Point number two is that obviously we're fans of the comics. We were familiar with Deathstroke a fair bit, and his son Joseph, of course, is a big character for Deathstroke in the comics. He's got his own powers, for example. And I was actually saying when we were watching it together early on, I was like, Jane Joseph's going to have his powers, and we were like, probably not. And it doesn't seem he does.
If he does, I'll be surprised.
Basically, in the comics, if he makes eye contact with you, he can kind of possess you in a sense. Not in a Exorcist style way. It's more of like a remote control kind of thing.
Yeah, he can like speak through you, kind of control your actions, but you're still there.
Yeah, because one of his big things in the comics is that he can't speak himself, so he often uses other people to speak for him. And he's got an electronic one as well that he does when he's not possessing anyone, but that's his thing. So this Joseph to me represents almost nothing from the character from the comics. He's just his son named Joseph, and that's pretty much it. Pretty
much. And we had some pretty ropey flashbacks.
We did have some pretty with Slade taking
on. I forgot to check what year they were supposed to be because they had this really weird grain filter that looked like it was meant to be the 80s.
It did. It looked like they shot it as if it was meant to be the 80s, but it had like mobile phones and stuff, so it was very clearly like the 2000s.
Yeah. Yeah, I think he had like a little BlackBerry or something.
Which makes sense because, you know, if the son's like 21, 22 now, and he's like 12 in the flashbacks, yeah, about 10 years, it makes sense that it's about maybe mid-2000s.
Yeah.
That actually adds up. You know, if it was the 80s, Slade for a start should probably be about 12 himself. And
no, but it was the way they shot it, the way it looked. It was just like, what is this 80s grain filter?
Do you know what it looked like? It looked like a slasher movie almost, the way they shot it.
It did, yeah.
And I almost got excited because I wanted some slasher movie antics, but we didn't get any, unfortunately.
Well, we did get some Terminator stuff, though.
We did get Terminator stuff, and that was pretty cool.
And we did get the 80s one-liners.
We did, and it's worth mentioning this is the first set of flashbacks we've had since the first episode. The first episode had the island exploding from the end of between the seasons, and then this one had the Slade flashbacks.
I want to credit them for restraint, but even here, mostly they felt redundant. One in particular, they literally put a bag in the back of the car, and that was it. Well,
it was in the back of the car, and then it turns, hey, did you have fun, kid? He's like, yeah, I had fun. And then they shut the thing, and then that's it. It cuts back to present day.
It was like, why was that a flashback?
That could have been just connected to another one of the flashbacks. It could have just cut to that.
Or just not there at all.
Or not there at all.
It didn't add anything. I mean, at least the others had a bit of a plot. You know, he had the target, and he was doing something, and the kid was suspicious. But this didn't add anything.
Yeah. So that was that. So it was a weird end, but honestly, I have to kind of... I like the cheesy factor with the Slade one-liners, because he kept just hamming up these things where it's like, oh, you don't want to mess with me, and, like just I can't even remember some of the silly lines he was coming out with, but they were really hammed up and over the top, and they were kind of great. And the big one-shot like fight scene with him just going through people like a Terminator at the end was actually really good. So
it's the best fight scene I've seen on Arrow in a long time.
So points for that. Some positive points for that. The other plot, on the other hand, I feel like is going to be a lot more negative. So last season, we had two masked people running around that we were, who's this, who's that, and we had Prometheus, of course, who turned out to be discount Jake Gyllenhaal.
No. He turned out to be glorious theme tune music.
Sure.
I'm so looking forward to hearing that again. One day. Oh.
So so we had revealed him, but the other person we had running around was Vigilante. And we kept theorising who it was, and then we thought it was weird that he kind of just disappeared like 5 episodes before the end of the season, and it was never brought up again. And I was like, okay, they've left that for next season. And we had a lot of fun. We're like, oh, maybe it's Tommy. Oh, maybe it's Eddie from The Flash, or maybe... And we weren't being serious about these guesses, but... Here's like, okay, so it turns out to be someone who's not that big a deal. It's just someone from Dinah's past. It's her partner, who we saw in the flashbacks where we saw how she got her powers last season, right? Right, so there's a problem with the fact that when he took off his mask, I went, who's that? Right, that's just bad from the get-go. Now, admittedly, had I rewatched the last season, which, why would I do that? But if I had done that, then maybe I'd have recognised him.
I'd probably still say who's that, because it was one episode.
Yeah, but, so that's a problem, is that I'm going, who the hell's that? The second problem, though, and the bigger problem, I think, as bad as that is, who's that? I think the bigger problem, honestly, is the fact that after all season last year of not knowing who this was, and they kept like sort of making it this big mystery, I hate the fact, and it is such a weird and strange, stupid choice, to have him take his mask off after one interaction with one character. And like, it's in the first 10 minutes of the episode, she uses a scream to stop him running away, because
which I thought was weird enough already, because she's not in costume, she hasn't got a mask on.
Yeah, that was strange. She's kind of just ruined, she's revealed her who she is.
Yep, identity out the window. Lucky this guy already knew.
And, this is after he's just tried to assassinate this, this councilwoman or whatever, and he immediately just takes off the mask, and it's just like she's like, oh, it's you, whatever his name is.
Yeah.
What was his name? Vincent. Aye, Vincent.
I never would have guessed that.
Vincent Sobel.
Nope, no chance.
Yeah, no chance. And she's like, oh, it's you. And this is in the first act, like, seriously, given how much time they spent building this up, his reveal should have been the end of an episode.
Yeah.
It should have been the big moment at the end of an episode. Now, admittedly, had they done that, and then we went, who's that? And then it went to Arrow.
It would also be a problem. But at least we could look online and they'd tell us, because someone would remember. It
just felt so weird. They built this up all last season, and then they just shat it away in the first act of an episode. Randomly 5 episodes into the next season. It felt so weird. Like, at least if they'd had him back for an episode before this, so that he was back in town and it was like they were building him up again, at least it would have felt like it was kind of there. But to bring him back and then unmask him like 5 minutes, 10 minutes into the episode of his first return. It was
weird, yeah.
Yeah, it's strange to me. So there's a lot of her being like, oh, this isn't really you, and she fights. Perhaps the more interesting, or at least more amusing part of this plot was the FBI lady, Agent Watson. She's interviewing her, she's interviewing Felicity, which does not go well, and she wants to interview Renee, although he's not done it yet. Although I'm kind of looking forward to that scene. And
I like that when he says, he's been subpoenaed, and he's like, that means I have to go, right?
And Diggle's like, yeah, that's how subpoenas work. You have to go. So it wasn't a terrible episode of Arrow, in all honesty, but that vigilante side of the plot with the...
This is the thing. I'd be inclined to say it's the best episode of the season.
Yeah, I'd probably say that as well.
But then this vigilante stuff is some of the worst stuff.
Yeah.
Like, it's weird, but even though it's supposed to be the main plot and it's supposed to be the big thing, it just feels so unimportant, because who gives a shit?
Yeah. Obviously, by the end, like, Agent Watson's coming up to, like... Because Black Canary at one point, because she's at the TV station where this, it's the Channel 52 news station. And I kind of like how the 52 logo on that, by the way, is kind of slanted inwards, like the 52 comic book.
Yeah, it's nice, isn't it?
Really nice little touch. But there's going to be another assassination attempt, and Dinah's there as a cop with all these other cops, and the FBI show up with Agent Watson, and they're all kind of standing around.
Yeah, and Dinah complains, even though she's just been going, hey, I haven't got enough people here, I need backup.
Yeah, and when Vigilante does show up, and by the way, I just want to point out, like, the cop with her is like, oh yeah, we've got everything covered. There's no way anyone's getting in here. And then the camera just tilts up and he's there in the rafters. I'm like, you're shit at your job, sunshine. You're really bad at your job.
Yeah,
Now,
and this guy is like F vigilantes.
Do you know what the problem with that moment is though? Is that could have been a really funny moment. That could have been a funny cutaway to him getting in really easily. But instead, the way it just kind of does it, it's just kind of
It plays it for what's supposed to be suspense.
Yeah, it plays it serious when it should have played it as a laugh. It should have been, no, this is funny because he said there was no way he was getting in, and now he's in.
And this is why Legends is a better show. Because it would have been a great laugh.
Because no, it's the classic ironic cut. Like you maybe would have got in the hit television show Buffy the Vampire Slayer, where they'd say one thing and it'd cut to the opposite happening.
I kept it on topic. I kept it to Legends, which has been doing that a lot this season. You didn't have to go out the wheelhouse.
I'm just a little bit pissed now that I hit 3 out of 4 shows.
And one of them was Arrow.
I didn't do it on Legends.
Which is ironically probably the easiest one to do it on.
It was vampires.
Exactly.
Oh dear. So yeah. So at the end though, Agent Watson comes up to her and she's like, "Hey, it's kind of funny how you were nowhere to be seen when the lights went out." And then Black Canary popped up.
I was like, "Well, yeah, the lights were out. It was dark."
Yeah. She's like, "What are you saying? I'm the Black Canary?" He's like, "I think a lot of things, but I'll be watching." And she's sort of, I mean, I kind of like them being investigated a little bit because it's leading to some funny scenes. But this scene felt a little bit flat for me because Dinah is such a serious hard ass who never cracks a joke, right?
Yeah.
Well, she doesn't never crack a joke, but at least right now she's been really moody because like her partner's showing up again, and so she's all very dead serious.
We're just having intense sweaty workout scenes instead.
Yeah, and by the way, Diggle's pep talks are the worst. Like, I feel like they're the same thing every time.
Shit, though, isn't he?
He just comes up and he says the same thing about not beating yourself up all the time. There's never anything different.
Do you know
about
what it is though? Because it always worked on Oliver. He never needed to develop another one. Oliver only ever needed one pep talk, so he never had to learn a second one. So he's like, "Hey, this will work, right?"
I like the subtle touch though in that scene because I feel like you don't see it often enough. Is she's working out and she's got like she's got like a sporty exercise top on, but her bottoms are the bottom half of her costume. It's like she's taken the top of the costume off and just started working out like that.
Yeah.
And I kind of like that. I kind of like the idea that she just came back in the base, took that off, and started.
You don't really see the costume in parts very often.
Yeah, and even in that same scene, Diggle was sort of had the Green Arrow jacket on, but it was opened and he was kind of.
Yeah, you don't often see. It's usually all or nothing, isn't it?
Yeah, so I kind of like that. I like the idea of it being casually just kind of sort of half on as she was doing other things. Like I kind of like that because it makes you feel more real, I guess. So
yeah, no, I agree.
But that was Arrow.
Yeah, plus it was awful.
Anything else that you'd like to add? I feel like I sped through it, but it's Arrow, so.
Felicity and William can get off my screen, please.
Mm-hmm. I'll give him this. He was on the screen a couple of times this episode, and I wasn't cringing as bad as I have done in his previous scenes.
I wasn't cringing at his acting. But I was cringing at the context of it's doing the Felicity mothering thing still.
Yeah. In fact, we made up a new rule for his drinking game, by the way, is if Oliver at any point says that Felicity is a great mother or would make a great mother, he has to take a drink.
Yeah.
If the Prometheus theme music plays, he has to take 2 drinks. Which would have killed him last season, but now it's it's only a small chance it'll happen.
Yeah, it's the same with if Deathstroke mentions Shadow.
Yeah, that was one. Although you took a drink when he said the word shadow out of context. He was just talking about a shadow.
I wasn't drinking enough.
Oh dear. But anyway, that I guess that wraps up. We pick our favourite at the end of the show, though. We pick our favourite episode of one of these shows a week. So, what's your pick, Connor, and why is it Arrow?
Arrow might have had the best fight sequence.
Sure. Yeah,
I mean, the one in Legends was pretty good too, like the Damien Dark one. But
yeah, I think
that was more fun. But I think the Arrow one was more impressive.
That's fair.
It was technically better.
Sure.
But I don't know. I actually think it's a lot closer this week than normal.
Between
the 3.
Between the 3, no, between the 4.
I mean, technically it's closer because Arrow was better than normal, so it's technically closer. But
yeah, I think I think I'm going to give it to Supergirl.
See, I was considering that, but then I'm really not feeling that plot.
I feel like all of them. I mean, arguably Legends is the only one that didn't have something like that and that bugged me. But I feel like the better parts of Supergirl kind of outweighed that a little bit.
No, that's fair.
I really liked where it built up to, and I liked the end of the plane. That said, like, it would be that or Legends, I think. I don't think Flash is in the running for me this week. I think Flash would definitely be...
No, I think I'm going to go with Legends still. Right. I want to with Supergirl because I want to give it a chance, but I'm just not feeling the Alex Maggie stuff enough to give it to it.
No, that's fair. It would probably be Supergirl, Legends, Flash, and then, a few spaces, then Arrow. So there we go. So that has been episode 5 of Television for the Multiverse. Let us know what you thought of this week's episodes in the comments below and all that kind of stuff. Like, subscribe, and all that jazz. Pardon me, it's getting late and I'm struggling to function. So you guys on Twitter at mailed_fuzz for channel updates. If you want to support the channel and want to support the show, head over to patreon.com/mailfuzztv. You can do that over there. There'll be a link to that in the description, in the corner of the video, and all that kind of thing. But that is us. So thank you once again for watching. Keep watching DC TV and other TV and all that stuff. And always remember that we screw things up for the better.